It's been 10 years since Nebraska beat Ohio State, but it's only been 3 since they were competitive with them. If you look back to that 2018 game in the Horseshoe when Nebraska only lost by 5 points, it's pretty clear how they got there. Nebraska was +2 in the turnover battle, Adrian Martinez had 0 interceptions, and he went for 338 total yards. If you're Nebraska, there is a path to beating Ohio State this week, but there are also 99 paths to losing to them. With confidence, I can tell you that if Nebraska executes the game plan perfectly, meaning they don't miss tackles, they don't miss blocks, they don't miss throws, they don't turn the ball over, they don't trip over themselves at the goal line, they don't whiff on special teams, they create turnovers and don't miss out on big opportunities, Nebraska will end up winning this trap game by 10 points. The problem is, out of 41 career games for Scott Frost, his players have shown up and executed damn near perfectly only 4 times. So yeah, they're probably not winning this one. But that doesn't mean they can't win it. They took Michigan State, the number 3 team in the country, to the wire. They took Michigan, the number 7 team in the country, to the wire. They took OU on the road to the wire. So why can't Ohio State be next? Today we're talking about why this game still matters. We're going to talk about how Nebraska can redeem themselves after their last 2 losses, and I'll give you guys my prediction for how this game will go. But what's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Corn Crazed. Usually I'd ask you to hit the subscribe button right now, but I don't want to do that today. I want to say thank you for the last week. We've gone from 4,000 to 4,600 subs, which is a gain of 600 new people to the channel, which is so exciting for me. I've told you guys in the past, I only make about $10 an hour managing this channel. 5 hours to edit the video, about $50 in earnings per video on average. So it's not the best money, but I really enjoy doing it, and it's really cool when you guys hit the subscribe button, because then I know you guys actually appreciate the work I'm putting in, and I know I should keep going. Also, if you guys haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps the channel grow. And if you haven't checked out the merch site yet, every time I post this, I got new orders. So I wanted to show it again. This is the back of the hoodie, the back of the shirt I'm wearing right now. That's the design. So if you haven't checked out the merch site, check it out. Link in description. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the video.
And Martinez looking for the pylon. He's got a touchdown.
Taylor Britt and a game-changing touchdown. The pick six.
I wanted to start this out with a post I made on Instagram today. It starts off with a tweet from jfreeds09. Ohio State at Nebraska is the most obvious trap game for Ohio State I can possibly remember. You swipe to some supporting evidence. It's a week after an emotional win over a rival. They played Penn State last week, top 20 matchup, inside the Horseshoe at night. Ohio State was supposed to win by a lot more than they did. They came out with a 9-point victory, but it was tighter than they thought it would be. This week, they're on the road against a West team. Now, typically, they lose games that are crucial against West teams. Purdue has beat them, and Iowa has beaten them when they were, I think, number 2 in the country both times. An opponent who is 3-6 while all their losses have come by 1 score or less. So Nebraska's record makes them look pretty shitty. But in reality, that 3-6 could just as easily be 6-3. An opponent desperately playing for bowl eligibility. Now, a lot of people are saying Nebraska's checked out, especially after these last couple weeks. They're saying Nebraska's not fighting for anything, not playing for anything. But in reality, if they come out inspired, they have some sudden stroke of inspiration to get something done, they're still eligible to go to a bowl game. And this season is not over. Nebraska has still got something to play for, even though fans have been acting like this one's long gone. Last, 3 of those losses were 1-score affairs with currently ranked top 10 teams. Yeah. If you look at the Michigan State and the Michigan game, Nebraska very well should have won both of those games. A stupid turnover in one of them and an awful punt, poor execution in the other one ended up costing them both those wins. So, yeah, this one could go down to the wire just like those did, as long as the team comes out and fights. Not saying they're going to, because the last couple weeks have shown us there are some issues, but they definitely have the potential to pull off an exciting game this weekend. Now let's get on to why this game still matters for Nebraska. And number 1, it's because Scott Frost is still coaching for his job. Today, Nebraska's president, Ted Carter, came out, had a statement. He basically said that no decision has been made on Scott Frost's future as Nebraska's head football coach, but that the direction of the program will be addressed in the next few weeks. And my assumption is that means the end of the season, because the end of the season is a few weeks away. So the end of the year, they'll address it. He says, I don't want to get too far ahead of our skis right now. Don't think it will be too far down the road, that you're going to know which direction the program is going to go. I can tell you this, key, no decision has been made. Meaning, if Nebraska just completely gets blown out in these last 3 games, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversation about whether or not he comes back. And rightfully so. You got to really evaluate your program, especially when you're paying a guy this much money. But for all the fans who are saying there is no chance, including me, there is no chance that he gets fired this season, I still think there is a small chance. And he's really going to have to show that these players want it, that these players will play for him, that the culture isn't dead, that guys won't give up. Because part of the reason that Nebraska fans were so optimistic about this year, even though there were so many games lost, is because we saw players fight. And when you see players fight and play for the coach, you know that there is still something there. There is still hope to be had. So this game will tell us a lot about his future, because if he gets blown out and it's a shitty game, it could be pretty ominous in the weeks going forward. Number 2, Adrian Martinez is still playing for his job. Last week after the Purdue game, Scott Frost said that he didn't tell anyone that he was thinking about benching Adrian, but that in his own head, he thought about doing it. That says a lot, because we've seen that Smothers is not ready to go. Because if Smothers was ready to go, he'd be playing. Sean Callahan said today on the Husker Online radio show that Adrian Martinez has a bad ankle from practice a few weeks ago, and that he's playing with a broken jaw and it's like wired shut. Okay, what? That's the first I'm hearing of it. I'm not sure if that was public information and I just missed it, but if Adrian's playing that injured and Smothers still isn't in, that shows you how big the gap is between these quarterbacks. Also shows you that maybe they need to get a quarterback in there who can coach quarterbacks, but that's not the point. Next year, if Adrian wants to come back, he's going to have to do something spectacular this year, because otherwise Scott Frost is going to have to say, I'm coaching for my job. I can't bring a quarterback who can't win games in, and it's been proven now. Adrian can't win games. He can't beat Ohio State, can't beat Wisconsin, or can't beat Iowa. He has enough talent around him in the receiver room. He has enough talent on defense to help him out. Adrian's got to figure out a way to win the game. So Adrian's playing for his job right now. Even if it's not for this season, he's playing for it next season. And the number 3 reason this game matters is because Nebraska is still playing for a bowl game. Listen, if Nebraska could win these 3 games by some miracle, that would change the entire narrative of the program. They would beat 3 top 25 teams to end the season. Scott Frost would be looked at as a king. Fans would finally start to understand the direction he was going. Adrian Martinez would absolutely come back for another season. They would have so much positive publicity and so much positive hype that these guys have got to feel like if they come out and win this game, there is a chance they could easily go and beat Wisconsin, who's on a down year, even though they're still a good football team, and go and beat Iowa, who has an awful offense at home this year. So they're still playing for that bowl. They're still playing for pride. They're playing for their coach. There are a lot of reasons to be excited about this game. And honestly, it comes down to 2 players to me. Chase Contreras, the new kicker, if he can make his kicks. And Adrian Martinez, if he can go off. And we've seen him go off before. Nebraska's got to have those 2 guys perform, because I have a feeling that the rest of the team, outside the O-line, is going to come out and do their job. Now on to how Nebraska can redeem themselves after this rough season. Number 1 is to make tackles and limit big plays. If you look at Nebraska's past, they've lost a lot of games on big plays. If you make the tackle, teams can't continue to get first downs. Michigan, 13 missed tackle, or Nebraska had 13 missed tackles against Michigan. Ultimately, Michigan was able to keep driving the field and scoring, and they won the game. Last week, Penn State against Travion Henderson, the running back at Ohio State. They held him to 3 yards a carry on 27 carries. But the backbreaker was when they gave a 68-yard touchdown run. You got to be able to make those tackles. If you can limit the plays and make the tackles, Ohio State's going to have to earn every point they get, and that's how you can keep in the game with them. Number 2 is to win the red zone battle, and Nebraska's offense has been notoriously bad in that category last year. They ranked number 98 in the country. They only get in the end zone, I think, 66% of the time. Ohio State has been much better, but they play against much weaker defenses than Nebraska has. They ranked number 8 nationally, but if you look back to last week, they had 6 red zone trips, and they got in 1 time. That says a lot about what happens when they play against a good defense. On defense, Nebraska's been much better than Ohio State. They've given up 13 touchdowns on 24 attempts. Ohio State has given up 17 touchdowns on 24 attempts. So if Nebraska can win this red zone battle, and they can do it, it's going to be really freaking hard based on recent history, but they could, then they've got a good chance to stay in this one. Number 3 is don't turn it over. And I know that's a lot to ask of this offense, but I'm just going to end it there. That's a lot to ask of this offense. And last, I've got my prediction. And I know a lot of you want me to say Nebraska's going to lose this one by 24 points. Or you want me to say, oh, Nebraska's going to lose this one by 46 points after they bench Adrian Martinez and put in Logan Smothers. But I'm not going to say any of that. I'm going to tell you what I really think. I think Nebraska's going to come out here playing really inspired football. Oh, Ohio State's probably their best linebacker is not going to be playing in the first half because he's out with a targeting penalty. So maybe that'll help something. But Nebraska's got some weapons on offense, and Ohio State has a really young secondary. And even though they're talented, Nebraska needs to find holes in that defense and go after them early. They got to come out playing how they did against Northwestern. Take shots right away. Come out running the ball. Nebraska didn't run it enough against Purdue, and hopefully that was a good lesson that Scott Frost learned last week. If you don't run the football, you can't win the game. And this week, if they run the football, they're going to have some good chances. I don't know if the offensive line will be able to open up some holes, but let's get back to running the option and see what Adrian Martinez can do on the ground, because his strength is his legs. He doesn't throw it as well, and he is turnover prone right now, so let's just run it. Let's just run it at him hard and see what happens. The same way you started the game last year with Luke McCaffrey in the backfield running down the sideline for a 50-yard gain that turned into 7 points. Let's do that again. Let's see what Adrian can do when he runs the ball, because that has been his skill set his entire career, and that's what Nebraska fans love him for. I have no doubt that this defense is going to come out and play well. I think they're going to get beat a couple times because they're playing against the best offensive line in the country and the best receiving core in the country. But this defense has been stingy all season, and as long as you don't leave them out on the field too long, they're going to make plays. I can promise you that. The problem is if the defense gets left out there too long and gets worn out, which Nebraska's offense has tended to do to them over the last few weeks, they end up getting beat down because they can't compete at that high of a level for that many minutes being on the field. You got to have some equal distribution of play time. The offense needs to find a way to make long drives down the field turn into points and make sure that the defense isn't getting too beat up. I really think Scott Frost is going to come out here running this week because he knows he's got a great running quarterback. He knows he's got a solid power back in Yant, a solid speed back in Ramir, and if you've got those three guys together, they could do some real damage. It's going to come up to some blocking, and you're going to have to make some of the big throws, but you've got a very young secondary, even though they're very talented, and if Nebraska can get them out of position because they're running and running the option well, then Nebraska might actually be able to score some points on these guys. Give me Ohio State 31, Nebraska 21. Realistically, I think this is going to be a 10-point game the way that both these teams have been playing. But if Nebraska can come out inspired, they might be able to keep it a little bit closer, and I would not be surprised at an upset. I'm not kidding you. If Nebraska won this game, I wouldn't be surprised because that would just be so Nebraska of them. But I want to know what you guys think. Is there a chance it's a trap game? Is there a chance Nebraska could win it? Will they keep it close? Will it be a blowout? I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts below, and I'm excited to watch this game on Saturday. I will see you guys in the next one. Go Big Red.